Hey guys, today I'm going to make the start on putting in the RD into the Laurel. I'm just currently doing some servicing on my partner's Falcon, so while I'm waiting for the oil to drain, I'll start taking the whole front end off on the C33 and get it ready for the motor to be pulled, subframe to be pulled, and this RD to be put in. Bit of an update here, as you can see. Car's moved into the center of the shed. Just push this over for the meantime. I've pretty much got it ready to pull, I'm pretty sure. So fenders, front end, everything off, obviously. I think I've disconnected most of the loom from the fuse box here. I'm keeping the power steering with the car because there's actual power steering fluid in it, so I don't want to drain that. Fuel feed and return both off. Engine mounts are undone. Obviously taken the radiator out and all the radiator hoses. I've taken the exhaust and intake off, which was a bit of a bitch. I've disconnected the shifter linkage. So the trans is on the jack and I've disconnected the cross member. Drive shaft's still in, but I have drained all the fluids, hoping that I can make as little mess as possible, even though my shed floor is fucked anyways, but whatever. I think I've got all the grounds and everything. Initially I was going to drop the engine down with the subframe, but by myself it's probably just too much of a mission to line up your steering shaft, your all the shocks and all that stuff, and then line the cross member up. I just don't have the right stuff here with me by myself, so yeah, probably going to chuck the endless chain up onto the motor and then pull her out. So I've been pretty busy. Had issues getting the drive shaft out of the trans, but once I got that sorted, it was all right. Looks to be, well, I've obviously disconnected everything, so that was pretty good. First try. Nothing connected. It is leaking a bit of water everywhere, but that's all right. Couldn't do much about that. But yeah, I just have the body on the jack and I've just been moving the body back and forth as I sort of pull this straight up and out. I did have it grabbed another way, but it just didn't really work. So I've had to grab it like that and then pull it straight up, just because that trans is so fat and fitting it through that hole actually can be kind of a bitch, because I left those back lines which are for the coolant to go into, and I didn't want to break them because I actually don't have another set of these, so I was pretty careful with those, not breaking those. But then also down there you've got your hard line for your power steering rack, so it's obviously trying to avoid that. Well, that's me for the night, completely covered in grease and transmission oil and everything. I might even see if I can borrow a crane for this, just because not having any movement on that kind of sucks. I mean, it works for some stuff, but it's not too great for actually like getting the motor in smoothly. But if I can't borrow one, I'll just use it anyways and see how it goes. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. So it's already the next day and it's already 2:30, so been busy doing house stuff, unfortunately. But I decided I'm going to clean the engine bay, because the rack and everything is actually a lot dirtier than I remember it being, and I did have a power steering leak, so the rail's already dirty. As you can see, this motor was super nice and clean. It's crusty and disgusting everywhere. I just bought some cheap oven cleaner. I'm going to spray it down with this oven cleaner, get like a soft brush and just irritate it as much as I can, water blast it. I want to get this new motor in today if I can. So plans have changed. I was going to blast this out on the concrete out there, but it's just going to be a pain in the ass. Move that motor out of the way, keep turning this, and then slowly get it out there. So I'm just going to blast it in the shed. As you can see, I've sprayed all the cross member and all in there, and yeah, it's not too bad, but definitely come up a lot better. And then while I'm at it, I thought I might as well clean the shed, considering I've only owned this place for not even 4 months now, and the shed floor looks horrible. So I sprayed as much oven cleaner as I had everywhere, and hopefully it just comes up a little bit better. For 30 minutes on the water blaster and a $5 can of oven cleaner, I'm pretty happy. Obviously stuff like that didn't come out, but just walking on the concrete's so much better. It's way less slippery. Yeah, got some huge spots out, but I was able to clean up this so much better. I actually didn't realize how gunked on a lot of the stuff was. All these lines were black. The whole power steering rack was black. Yeah, it actually cleaned it up really well. All I have to check now is that the loom is interchangeable, because if it's not, I will swap looms over while it's out of the car. But this loom, to be honest, was kind of cut up. There's like random wires and stuff in it. So hopefully this loom is the same, so then I don't have to worry with that stuff. But yeah, I'll just go through this loom, double check everything is the same or similar enough, and then we'll put it in and hope for the best. So I'm having a couple issues with the wiring here. This side of things went super easy. For some reason the stud on the glow plug was a lot wider, so had to drill out the little pig's tails or whatever. But that fits in there. The coolant temp, I believe that's coolant temp, is the wrong plug. And I've broken the other one on the other head by accident, so I can't swap them over. I'll just have to buy a new one. No big deal. Starter obviously works. I'm using all the C34 loom for the trans. This trans is actually electric speedo, where the C33 is a manual speedo drive, and I can't get the speedo drive out of the C33 trans, so I'll keep going at that later. Obviously the ground wire, I'm just keeping the C34 one because same. The biggest issues is I don't have this on the other pump, whatever this is. I do have this one here, so I'll just have to splice in this plug so that it works. But yeah, as you can see, this goes to 2 wires, where the other plug for the C33 loom is just 1. So I'm wondering if I can get away with not even doing anything with that, just deleting that or whatever. There is a plug in the back here that plugs in, and that goes to sort of, it's either like an RPM, I believe it's an RPM, or like a pump signal or something. So that's that plug there, that's plugged straight in. But my biggest issue right now is this is off the C33 loom or motor, and this plug goes to the loom, but this doesn't work because it's not long enough. So that's the one off the C34, and obviously it's a different plug, otherwise I'd just use it. So it's a bigger plug. So I'm hoping I can maybe take this like little plastic dowel off maybe, but if not, I'm just gonna have to figure something out, maybe splice in this, or I'm not sure, but I can always do that later on when it's in the car to see if that actually affects it running or not. So this is the setup I've got going on at the moment. There's not any good way to jack up these motors, I've noticed. There is like, I don't know, threaded holes in the head on both sides, you know, for your normal way you jack up a motor. So it is what it is. I've got this strap on the back here which I can adjust in and out to hopefully get it up over the radiator support, and then I'll lower it as I bring the car forward, and then I'll lower the transmission hopefully, and it'll sort of slide in there. I was able to get that little plastic spacer off the other one of these for the C34 loom and make it work with the C33. So I think the only difference now with the loom is literally just these bits here, which, like I said before, I was just running 12 volt to that on the other motor anyways. So I'll see if I can do that and get it running maybe. Oh, next video it should be in the car hopefully. If you just noticed in the time lapse there, but I dropped the trans a little bit harder than what I was wanting to and smacked the old firewall here, so She's a bit bad. I've broken the shroud there and dented that in. So that's a bit of a pain. I'll have to repair that, and that shouldn't be too hard. And luckily I only bent this line here, didn't actually break it, so that's nice, but obviously not optimal. Definitely would not suggest doing it the way that I've just done it. The idea was to have these two strops here, have one slack, and then release the tension of the other one, you know, slowly keep dropping bit by bit, just keep doing that back and forth. But yeah, I kind of didn't think about it, but this blue strop here was pulling it all the way over like that, so then I only left a little bit of slack, maybe that much, but when I let off the tension of the blue one, this strop wanted to come level. So not only did it move this little amount that this strop had, it also moved how much it wanted to go over there, which happened to be enough to smack, obviously, the firewall there. So bit of a learning curve. I need to get one of those proper angle things to help me get it in by myself. But yeah, also just trying to rush it by myself doesn't help, but we'll carry on and get her in. Oh, it is finally in. That was the dodgiest, worst way I've ever put a motor in. I've pulled many a motor. Oh, that was just a fucking nightmare. I think also being the RD made it harder, because you might have seen I chucked this strop on. I tried to route the strops and everything so I wasn't going to bend anything or, you know, kink any of the lines or anything like that. So this strop was sort of too far in the middle, and then it wanted to, like, that side is the side that it's mainly stropped to, so it was pulling that side before it was pulling it evenly, so then I had to get this strop to try and pull it up straight. And then I had heaps of issues. I was trying to avoid going under the car because I was told that all the transmission fluid had been drained onto the guy's property before he gave it to me, but obviously I got the other half, so I didn't really want to go swimming in that. And then that jack was too small to get up into where I needed, so then I had to get this jack under there, and then for the transmission, and then I put it on the jack stands, and then it fell off the jack stands at one point. Luckily it caught itself. Just a mission, and a bit of damage as well, which is obviously not ideal with that first mishap. So obviously it's not a huge deal. I did scratch this up a bit with the pulley when I was having some issues, so that's a bit of a pain, but black spray paint, you won't know, I guess. Ultimately it's not going to be a show car when it's got the RD in it. Maybe later on I'll strip it back and respray the whole thing, but the motor's in. Then that maybe took me just a little bit over an hour. Yeah, just got to tighten up the engine mounts and then start putting everything together, but I'll definitely be doing that hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully it won't take me too long, and then we'll get its first start up, hopefully. Hey guys, so it's currently 8:30 the next day. Unfortunately got called into work today, so wasn't able to get anything done on the car till about an hour ago. So I came out here and I think it's pretty much ready to start. I haven't cranked it or anything yet. So I haven't cranked it or anything yet. Obviously got the battery on. I think I've got all the earths done. I haven't hooked up the power steering because don't need it. Fuel lines are hooked up. I've plugged in all the harness. I've run 12 volt to the pump, whatever the fuck that is, I forget what it is now. The alternator's on. Didn't need it for first start, but why not? This battery's a bit how you going, so we'll see how we go. I might tighten those. Okay, so it is, like I said, 8:30, so I'm only going to try and crank it over for a little bit, and then I'll just warm the glow plugs, then I'll shut her off. Obviously it's got no coolant or anything, so I did chuck some oil in. We'll go. Oh, it wants to fire. don't think that battery's got enough juice in it. Yeah, that battery hasn't got enough juice in it. I thought that might be the case. Okay, so it's now quarter past 9, and I've had the crown hooked up to it for about 15 minutes now. Obviously, gave the floor a good scrub and turned the Laurel around, so a little bit nicer to work in here. But like I said, because it is so late, I'm just going to try and get her run and then shut her off straight away. Yeah, we'll see if this starts. Just blowing it. I'll give it a couple glows. Hopefully that works. Ooh. I see some burning wires. I'm guessing that's my alternator, so I'll sort out what's going on there. Okay, so there's still a bit of smoking coming from the alternator. I don't know if I've got a bad ground or something somewhere, but I've just disconnected the alternator for now, and it's still not starting, so I'll just chuck some Start Your Bastard down here, and then we'll try and get it in all the runners, and then we'll give that a jam. Okay, so I just glow it a couple times, and we'll crank her over. Oh, she wanted to. Well, that starter sounds real bad. Got a spare one though. Huh. It wants to fire. I might give it a little bit more Start Your Bastard, and then it should fire. It's so close to starting. That battery's not loving life. There's some gas as well. Okay, for some reason it doesn't shut off on the key, but she started right up perfectly. So I didn't even have to bleed the injectors or anything. Just a little bit of Start Your Bastard, probably just because the lines were completely dry. Yeah, that's fully solid still, so I don't think we have any fuel leaks, but fired right up. So now I just got to finish off the rest of the stuff with obviously the drive line and coolant and all that stuff, and then maybe put all the panels back on and take it for its first test drive, that in my ownership anyway. So yeah, that'll be all for this video, guys. I hope the neighbours aren't too pissed off with me, but if you guys like this shit, thumbs up and subscribe.